This work is physical. Makeup helps us to see facial expressions. The hands are white, so they're like dance. Look at Chaplin. It's all tiny. A little tramp starving to death, eating his shoes. It's all tiny, it's all dance. So this work is closer to that. The face is painted. Chaplin, Keaton. Silent movies. So the eyes read better. Everything. So it's a kind of mask. So this theater is coming from that direction, not a naturalist. And I think to try to make a play like the Rhinoceros naturalistic is goodness. You can play it naturalistic, but you have to know that it's not natural.
To make a connection between this play and the fact that we live in an ex-communist area, so to speak?
Well, of course you think about all those things, but you can't help but think about it, so it can't help but be there. But I don't make any emphasis on it.
What is it most interesting about this play that you want to emphasize in your performance? What is the major aspect you want to
I think the humor.
underline?
It's the humor. It's an absurdist humor. And if you don't have humor, then don't make theater. Even if you're performing King Lear of Shakespeare, Shakespeare's great tragedy, you have to laugh a little bit when the king dies, or it'll never be a great tragedy. So I think this play offers a chance for a lot of humor. And I think that was part of his genius, is that he had already some distance of looking at the situation. Because he could laugh at the situation.
When are you satisfied with a performance you make? When do you feel your mission is accomplished? How do you measure this?
Well, work is never finished. So I was very much influenced by George Balanchine, the choreographer who was, when I first came to New York in the 60s as a student, was with the New York City Ballet. And I remember at the end of the 60s, Clive Barnes from the New York Times interviewed Balanchine and said, "Your last 3 ballets have been very unpopular with the public and with the press. What do you have to say about that?" He said, "Oh, give me some time and maybe they'll be masterpieces." But he was always working on a ballet. He'd go in and change it. And the dancer was different, and he would make changes. I often go back and see a production that has been playing for some years or something in repertory, and I make changes.
What's
What's
the message?
that?
What is the message of this play?
What is what?
The message.
Oh, don't ask me such a question. That's for you. I never talk about it. I have never, in 45 years more, working in the theater, ever talked about a message. I don't think that way. The reason you work is to say, what is it? And if you know what it is you're doing, then don't do it. The reason to work is to say, what is it? So that's one of the big dilemmas I find in theater is that plays have messages. It's so boring. Because then they're like, the actors, their directors are like bad high school teachers, lecturing you and telling you what to think. You must always keep the situation open. How all occasions do inform against me and spur my dull revenge. Examples gross as earth. Examples gross as earth, exhorting witnesses on me of such mass and charge, led by a delegate and prince, the nephew to old Norway, Martin Ross, whose divine ambition puff makes mouths at the invincible event. That's Shakespeare. It's Hamlet. I learned it when I was 12. I'm 72 and I'm still saying it. And every time I say it, I can think about it in a different way. That's not to say it doesn't have meaning. Of course it has meaning. It's full of meanings. But to attach a meaning, an interpretation, a message to Hamlet will deny all the other ideas. It's full of ideas. It's cosmic.
How is it to work with Romanian actors, a play written by a Romanian writer, a writer born nearby Craiova in a town called Slatina? Have you felt a sort of pride in the way they act?
Well, I think it's something very new for the actors, because my way of working in the theater is very personal. It's not really a school that's taught, so you can't go to Yale University and study this way of performing. You can't go to a school in Germany or a school here in Romania. It's something that came about by accident, by people I met, by living, that I made this theatrical language. So it's strange for them. But they're very, very good actors. They're among the best that I've worked with. I don't think I could find actors at this level in New York. Certainly not in France or Italy or England. And the one thing that they have is humor. See, that's the English are so boring, right? There's no humor. Germans have no humor. So the French, I don't know. To me, it's all in the head and everything. So the actors here are better for my work than, say, the average actor you'll find in New York or Germany. Because of that. That's the most difficult thing to do in theater is humor. Tragedy is much easy, but easier. Who wants to go to see a play this tragic, this depressing? So that what is necessary is that you, whatever you do, you can find light. If I take this black watch band and put it on my jacket, that's one thing. But if I take the white Kleenex and put it here, that's another. The black is now blacker because of the light. So your darkest moments need light. And think that's something that makes them exceptional. They have their sense of humor. That's so lacking. Theater training, I mean, you can't really teach it, but you can become aware of it. So you can't direct an actor to feel. Some people do and some people don't. It happens, I think, also in a culture and a tradition or something. But I don't really know the tradition of theater here, but I know that actors have a marvelous sense of humor. And that's especially right for this work and for my work.
Related to the play, what would you choose to be, a rhinoceros or beranger?
What is one?
What would you choose to be, a rhinoceros or a beranger, related to the play?
I'd rather be a bear. You know, bears like to sleep and they like to eat. Anything else? You want to say something?
For us, it's a chance to be close to you. The most important thing for us is that you put us in the essence of being alive and doing theater. The sense of togetherness for concentration and attention.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, the way we direct, I think probably most of you know, but the whole piece was done first with no text, just silent. So it's done like a silent movie in a sense. And then I began to add audio elements and other things. So that I start with the movement first. So that's very different than most directors. You know, usually they sit and read a text and they say, oh, okay, now I'll go over there because of this. I don't start that way. I make a structure so that everything can have a different reality. You have movements that have a book, and there's a theatrical language. The lights can have a separate movement, and that has a reality. The stage set can be something separate again. There's a scene in a cafe, and I put it in a forest. And there are things happening in the forest that have no relationship to the spoken word. So what I'm seeing for a stage set can be something different than what I'm hearing. Or what I'm seeing as gestures can be something different. The light can change. So all of these things are layered together. And you can see them independently. You probably could just look at the lights moving. It's like a light show. Or you could watch it just the movements. It's a silent play. Or you could listen to it like a radio. You'd hear a radio. So they can work independently. But when you see them together, in an ideal situation, they reinforce one another without illustrating or seconding one another. So that through these parallel layers, it's like a cheeseburger. You have bread, ketchup, pickles, lettuce, tomatoes, meat, bread, and you put it all together. So each one, lettuce has its own texture and taste, the tomato does, the bread does, the meat does. But when you put them together, something else happens. So I spend a lot of time working on all these layers and then putting them together. So often André Malraux, who was the Minister of Culture in France, said Western theater has been bound by literature. And I think what he meant is that the actor, the director, the stage designer, they read a text and then they do everything to illustrate the text. And if you look at a 14th century no play from Japan, there's a no play from the 14th century. Boy meets girl. Boy and girl fall in love. Boy leaves girl. Girl waits 30 years. Girl commits suicide. As she's dying, boy returns. 14th century story, same as Madame Butterfly, brother. Hundreds of stories, all the same. In this 14th century play that is still performed today in the 21st century, the same movements that were choreographed from the 14th century we're doing in the 21st century. And 2/3 of the movements are totally abstract, have nothing to do with the story. Very strange. But for the Japanese, if you would attach a meaning to the movement, they would be reduced. So the movement can be pure as movement for movement's sake only, and seen together with music, text, something else happens. So for the Japanese, it's not so strange to see this kind of theater, where the visual book can be different from the audio book. The work is a little bit like, if you listen to the radio, you're free to imagine, what does the actor look like? What does the room look like? So your visual screen is free to imagine whatever. If you see a silent movie, you're free to imagine the sound, the music, the color of the actor's voice, or whatever. If you're watching television and you turn the sound off and you watch the TV, you become much more aware of the movement of the news broadcaster. You see twitching of a lip, nervous finger moving, because you're concentrating visually. So this work is a little bit like taking a radio play and putting it with a silent movie. So that in the ideal sense, there's more space for your imagination. Okay, I need to go back to work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. You
Thank
are
you.
here. Thank you for the occasion you gave us
Thank you.
to work with you.
Okay, thank you.